If we use calculations to work out our prayer times, then why can't we do that for moon sighting? Oh, it's a controversial question, this, and also a lot of assumptions. Well, let me just first say that I don't use prayer times or any calculations for my prayer times. I just want to put that out there. The vast majority of my prayers are based upon just observation or just a general feeling that I get during the day. Folks, there's a fundamental difference between prayer times and the moon, and there's a fundamental difference between respecting the nas, the text, which comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that which has been left open. The prayer times are based upon the sun. The sun is always visible. It's something that we always are able to see regardless of, or is always there in terms of visibility, in terms of its light. So you might not be able to even see the sun on the most cloudy of days, but its light is clear. You still know the difference between morning and nighttime. You still recognize the difference between Maghrib becoming close and when it's far away, etc., etc. We also know that if there is some kind of cloud or whatever, then we can make the calculations to work out if we need it to back us up, because maybe you're traveling or you're in a different area, or you don't understand where you are, or you're disorientated, you need some calculated times. Those times, they apply even if you can't see the sun or the moon. You have to continue to pray. Whereas for the sun, I mean. But whereas for the moon, it's entirely different. The moon's function is only for the beginning of the month and the starting of certain specific acts of worship. If you do not see the moon, for example, then certain acts of worship don't apply. Unlike the sun, if you don't see the sun, the prayer still goes ahead. So we don't want to overrate calculations. Calculations might tell us that the sun is there or the moon is there, but for the sun, you still continue with the prayers, but for the moon, you don't. For example, in the famous hadith of what this whole debate is about, i.e. fasting and Eid, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Sumu li ru'yatihi wa aftiru li ru'yatihi, fa in ghamma alaykum fa akmilu al-idda 30." Fast when you see it. Break your fast when you see it. When you see it does not mean when it's born. The moon is born, but you might not see it. Remember, the astronomical new moon, when it's born, for a number of hours, because of conjunction and the reflection from the sun and the lack of ability for that to happen, and the different visibility curves, we can't see it for a good few hours. The next time that we see it is what we see is what is known as the hilal, or the new waxing crescent. That is what initiates our new month. That's what the Prophet ﷺ said. Fast when you see it and break your fast when you see it. And sometimes you won't be able to see it because it's too thin, or because of atmospheric conditions, or because it's cloudy. So the Prophet ﷺ said, فَإِنْ غَمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ. So if it becomes too cloudy that you can't see it, then complete 30. Complete the 30 days. So you still continue, even though, so you don't start Eid, even though the moon is there. You see, so you don't establish the act of worship that you want to, even though you know by calculation, by fact, that the moon is there. That's the big difference between that and the starting of the moon, the starting of the month because of the moon, and the prayer times. So there's a fundamental difference. All right, I want you to appreciate that. I want you to understand that when this discussion, we have extremes. You have those people who say, it's only about seeing. I don't care about calculations. And these scientists are all modernists and scum, and they don't know anything, and they don't practice the deen, and none of them have beards, and they're all rubbish and academics only, and they got no knowledge of Islam, and us only we do. So it doesn't matter what they say. If we see it, then we're going with it. So that's one extreme position. Then you got the other extreme position, which is those fat Maulvis sitting there eating their barfi and biryani all day and night. They've got absolutely no idea about science, and they're all living in with their sheep and cows, and they've got no idea what's going on. And we can see that the moon has definitely been born, and they're trying to make a claim that it's been seen before the moon has been born. So that's another extreme. And I personally believe that, because modernity needs to be embraced, and science is part of our deen, but it's not the be-all and end-all, and calculations are not the be-all and end-all, and this deen needs to be applicable to everybody. And we can't be saying that there needs to be a global calendar based upon pure science, and all of the world expecting to follow that. And who are the ones that are making decisions? A few handful of million Muslims that are living in the cities, or have been had their heads turned by capitalism and by their workplaces, because they've been so stressed out because they took their one single day off from work just saved for that Eid, and because the masjid didn't go with their opinion, now they have to get in trouble with their work. If they had a more devotional approach to Eid and more respect for their last few days of Ramadan, and didn't worry about having to take a few extra days off, and whether Eid was one day or the other, and not treat it because they're so worried about the days they're saving up for Marbella or Turkey. Inshallah, I'm also going Marbella in Turkey. I'm not hating on Marbella in Turkey, but people need to know that their holidays are primarily as a priority for their religious festivals. So you should take off 5 days and cover all possibilities. And our Eid is not like Christmas, like a set day, set time every single year. There's a realness about Eid. It's live, it's raw, it has that potential for being there tomorrow, it might be not. You might have had a really horrible, what you thought was the last day of Ramadan, and then you see that it wasn't seen, and you think, alhamdulillah, I got one extra day. I can now turn it around. I can go real beast mode hard and turn my Ramadan around. The other way, of course, applies too. You're knackered, you've killed it, man. You're just desperate for Eid. You see the moon, and you heard everybody saying, there's going to be another day, there's going to be another day, but then the moon is seen, oh, it's Eid, I can't believe it, I'm so happy. That emotion, that kind of, that's part and parcel of the beauty and the hikmah of Eid, and the starting of the month of Ramadan as well. It's important for us, to respect calculations, but not make them bigger than they are. The calculations, what do they tell us about how to pray in Norway and Sweden, for example, where 3 months, in certain parts of the country, 3 months of the year are pure darkness, no sunlight at all. And then 3 months of the year, pure sunlight, no darkness. The calculations are telling us that the sun's here, this, that, whatever. Like these absurd opinions that say you need to follow 18 degrees regardless of what's happening outside. The calculation is more important than what's observable. So these are the people who say that 18 degrees, even if it tells you that Fajr is to be prayed at 1:30, where you know and everybody knows that it's the same as being the night time that it was half an hour ago or 1 hour ago, and the sunrise is happening at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, and you can feel that there's got no connection to Fajr at 1:30, and you're forced to pray because of calculated number and a figure. When you know that if you prayed it at 4 o'clock, it feels like a Fajr. The Fajr has appeared. Al-Humar al-Mustatir, the Prophet ﷺ said, when you see the redness, it's not just light, it's other things that you're meant to get involved with. It's a real thing. So I want you to understand that there is more to life than just a calculated figure, a calculated number. These are living things that the people are meant to get involved with. Not everybody has a microscope, a telescope. Not everybody has access to the internet. Not everybody is in touch with modernity. This has got to be a system that's applicable to everyone. If you actually deeply think and reflect upon the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the prayer times not being linked to the moon, so that everybody can apply them in the world by observation, and then the moon not being linked, or the sighting of the moon not being linked to the telescopic reality or the astronomical reality, but also again visibility, shows that this deen is meant to be for everyone, for all people, in all places. And that's from the beauty of Allah. And that's why I believe that out of those two extreme opinions, the middle opinion is the correct one. What is that? And that is that we combine calculations and sighting, and we say that people should try to sight the moon, and if they sight the moon, then the month starts, and if they don't sight the moon, then the month doesn't. And calculations should be used to make sure that there's a possibility of the sun, of the moon being seen. So if the calculations say, right, the moon was born a couple of hours ago, folks, go out there and start sighting it, and then it's sighted, then we go with it. If the moon is not sighted, then we don't go with it, and then we complete the month 30 days. And if a person was to make a sighting and say, I saw the moon, but the calculations say that's not possible because the moon is being born tomorrow, then we reject this sighting. This is my opinion. This is how to marry the two opinions, the two extremes, and come to a position where you're faithful to modernity, but you're also essentially faithful to the hadith and the text itself. Sumu li ru'yatihi. The Prophet ﷺ is unequivocal that you only fast and break your fast when you see it, not when it's born and not when it's calculated, and Allah knows best. Hey, thank you for watching, and subscribe so you can continue to get the rest of the videos. I don't know, whether somewhere over here, there, whatever, whatnot. It's beautiful, this series of videos, FaithIQ, and we need your support, and that's by watching it, by sharing it, and then by donating towards it, so we can continue to make more videos that deal with more of your issues. Jazakumullah khair, wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.